Miami, Florida, where the Dolphins and the San Diego Chargers are ready to meet again. This rematch of last year's playoff classic is brought to you by Chevrolet. Chevrolet is USA 1, and USA 1 is taking charge. By Atari, the leader in home video games for fun your whole family can share. And by the Bell System Yellow Pages. Get the Yellow Pages talking, let your fingers do the walking. The Orange Bowl is jammed again in Miami. They've hoped for this rematch, and now they've got it, so do we all. Welcome back to the Orange Bowl and the Chargers versus the Dolphins. Both these teams are so ready. They've waited for this game again. As Don Shula told us a few minutes before he went back to the locker room, for a year we've hoped we'd get the Chargers again in a playoff game. Now we've got our wish. It's up to us. It was an inspirational game last year. All those of you who saw it, remember these teams pushing themselves to the summit. As Kellen Winslow of the Chargers said, we pushed ourselves till we just couldn't push anymore. And then when it was over, the Chargers had an overtime victory, and the Miami Dolphins a bitter disappointment. I'm joined by John Brody. John, we know the basic breakdown, the best offense against the best defense. Something's got to give here.
Well, I think you'll see a few things give, and the one thing that is going to be exposed is the checking point of both clubs. Everybody chokes a little bit, and I think that teams would tend to do it at this price level. But if there are two teams who are sound that way, Dan Fouts is an Iceman. Don Shula, his record speaks for itself. And I think more than anything else, the fact that Miami is the least penalized team in the game over the last 7 seasons and still is #1 defensively tells it all.
Well, they're about set to go. Don Coryell's brought his Chargers in the last 3 times they've been to the Orange Bowl. They've beaten the Dolphins, and every time they've done it on the last play of the game. In fact, it was overtime the last 2 meetings, and here, John, is Coach Don Shula.
And we've said so much about Don over the years. There's very little else to say. Both sides are getting ready for what we're watching line up right now. Brunishka to kick it off to Miami.
Ralph Brunishka is the man, and Fulton Walker is back deep for the Dolphins. Going to carry a little bit short. Ball is taken by an up man, Woody Bennett, or Eddie Hill on the far flank gets the ball and runs it out across the 20, close to the 25-yard line. And so David Woodley, who's played spectacular football the last couple of weeks, comes out to lead the Dolphins on offense. Nathan and Franklin are his runners. Wide receivers, Duriel Harris and Jimmy Cephalo. They use a trio of tight ends at Miami. Bruce Hardy's the starter. Offensive line's gotten better and better with Giesler, Kuchenberg, Stevenson. Jeff Taves in for the injured Ed Newman, and the right tackle Eric Laxo. So it's now first down and 10 for Miami. First play from scrimmage. Over the middle they go, and Woodley quickly hits his tight end. Bruce Hardy, a 5-year veteran out of Arizona State. And he's all the way out to the 39-yard line, a 15-yard gain. On the defensive front 4 of the Chargers, big people. Leroy Jones, Louis Kelcher, Pro Bowler Gary Johnson, and Keith Ferguson, who's from Miami, Florida. David Lewis is starting at outside linebacker with Thrift and the best linebacker, Woodrow Lowe, alongside. Jeff Allen, next Dolphin, and Mike Williams are the corners, 2 hard-hitting safeties and veterans, Tim Fox and Bruce Laird in the deep secondary for San Diego. On first and 10, here's the run, and Tony Nathan looks to turn upfield, and the Chargers defend well. Knock him down after a gain of about a yard. 59, Cliff Thrift, the middle linebacker, was the tackler on the play. Nathan had a slow start this year. Didn't deliver with the usual Tony Nathan style that he has in past years, but now in the recent weeks, the whole offense has come together, and the Dolphins feel they're as good right now as they've been in a long time. They're a very optimistic team. Both these clubs are, John. I think they both expect to win.
And I think David Woodley, playing the way he has the past couple weeks, gives their whole offense a feeling that, hey, maybe we can compete with these fellas offensively. They feel if they can, they've certainly got the best of it.
Over the middle, a throw intended again for the tight end, and Woodley, who is quarterback rating of over 150 in his last 2 games. He was last in the American Conference until the Baltimore game and then the playoff game with New England. He's been just sensational. At his greatest game last week, you see his numbers, 16 of 19.
I don't think anybody doubted, Don, that Miami may be the soundest overall football team in this game. And the decision at quarterback has been the one that's kept them from sticking their head out above people. And this is not only an important game for Miami, but for David Woodley very much so.
David Woodley now has 3rd down and 9 as he goes out of the shotgun. Gets some time and swings it out to a back. Tony Nathan is knocked down short of the first down. So the Dolphins, after getting a first down on their first play from scrimmage, the 15-yard throw to Hardy, cannot convert a second. They'll punt the ball.
When San Diego gets you in a 3rd down and 9 situation, they're now playing the kind of game they love. They play that deep zone defense, a lot of drop by the linebackers. When the quarterback is forced to throw it off to a swing back in a flood pattern, that simply means that they're going to have to settle for a 4 or 5 yard gain in all probability, and the drive will be stopped. Good play by the D's.
So the D's stop the Miami Dolphins, and Orris is in for his first punt of the game, and the threat is back deep for San Diego in James Brooks. The wind is going to be a factor in this game. It's a swirling wind coming off the nearby Atlantic. Here is Brooks at the 14-yard line. He's to the 19. Good special team play, which characterizes Miami Dolphin teams, is there to make the cover. 41-yard punt, a 4-yard return, and the Chargers in that super high-power offense get the ball for the first time when we come back. We're back and ready to go. The San Diego Chargers with the #1 offense in pro football, one that averages, and there's the breakdown, 450 yards a game, 326 passing, and they score 32 points a game. But you see Miami doesn't allow those kind of numbers.
Yeah, well, something, as you said, does have to give. There's a 200-yard difference between what the Chargers are accustomed to and Miami gives up.
Muncy runs and runs well, and the big back from California is ahead for a 12-yard gain on the first play from scrimmage for the Chargers. Glenn Blackwood, a strong safety, knocked him down. And as you know, John, the Charger coaches say when Muncy runs well, it's automatic that we pass well.
And the last 3 ball games, this is what has characterized the San Diego offense. Chuck Muncy is running the ball as well as he ever did in his career. Over 100 yards 3 weeks in a row with excellent running in crucial times. That's what Miami has to stop more than anything.
3 straight 100-plus games is right for Chuck Muncy, and he's done it against good defenses. Now, Fouts looks to throw, and Bo Camper is upon him. 6'6", 250, a linebacker who's gone to defensive end because of his great pass rushing ability. In Bo Camper sacks Dan Fouts. It's going to be long yardage coming up, 2nd down and about 17.
They fooled him a little there, Don. I tell you, Dan had enough time to throw it, but by the time he tried to go out to his outlet pattern, A.J. Dewey had jumped right up on his fullback, and he couldn't throw his outlet. And if they do that, it makes Dan change his plans a little.
And Fouts is tough to sack. That was only the 13th time right through the playoffs that he has been sacked. And Fouts over the middle. It's long, and the nearest man to it was one of the Blackwood brothers. Lyle Blackwood had a play on the ball.
I just saw something that is a very telltale sign. Last week, Kellen Winslow, when he scored the winning touchdown, limped off the field, and people said, that's all right, he does that a lot, he always comes back to play. But I noticed when he came off the line of scrimmage, after the ball was overthrown, he was limping badly going back into the huddle. That's a concern that we have to watch.
Winslow, the premier tight end in the game, a key to the San Diego offense. He's aligned strong to the right as Fouts looks on 3rd and long yardage. There's another big rush, and Fouts gets it away just as he's hit. The Dolphins intercept. Gerald Small has the ball inside the 30 and down to the 27-yard line. For the Dolphins, who felt they had to pressure Dan Fouts, do it, and they force an interception after sacking him. Miami's 2nd possession comes on this play, and now they're in excellent field position.
Okay, the Blackwood brothers play great zone defense, but they've got excellent people in front of them. What generally happens when you see a Fouts throw a pass like this is a confusion of some sort. This time they're in a defense that confused Dan a little. They've played man-to-man on his receivers underneath. A.J. Dewey has been all over the football field in the first series of downs, both watching backs and after the quarterback. This time he hassles Danny, makes him throw a bad ball on the turnover.
Now, 1st and 10 for Miami. 11 minutes to go, first quarter. No score. Andra Franklin. Booming ahead. Ran for over 100 last week against the New England Patriots, but he fumbled the ball away, did Andra Franklin, 3 times in that game, and it was a Franklin fumble in this game a year ago that cost Shula and his Dolphins a victory. You may recall they were leading 38-31, Miami was. Late in the game, running the ball down into the San Diego end, and then just an off-tackle play, Franklin lost the ball, and bang, bang. A couple of plays later, the Chargers were in the end zone to tie the game at 38. A gain of 6 by Franklin. Lone setback is Tony Nathan. 2nd and 4. Tony Nathan tries the Charger defense, comes inside the 20. They'll be short of a first down, it looks like, but very close to one. As the clock is down to 10 minutes to play. They've waited for this one in Miami, and the Orange Bowl is packed. The Dolphins living with that bitter memory of a 3-point loss in overtime of a game they seemingly had locked up in regulation. You look at the numbers with Shula's teams at home with big crowds in the Orange Bowl, 90% of the time they win. But not against San Diego, the team that's beaten the Dolphins the last 3 times they played here in the Orange Bowl. 3rd and 2. Woody Bennett, he's going to go in. No, he's caught from behind. Woody Bennett's down to the 5-yard line. A saving tackle by Bruce Laird, the strong safety, but a 13-yard gain, and the Dolphins now go 1st and goal.
Short yardage situations, oftentimes inside the 20. Everybody's playing man-to-man. Everybody's responsible to fill a hole. When you get a real good offensive block, you can sometimes scrape off a safety man, as they did Bruce Laird there. He made a good play to save it from being a touchdown. But somebody had to be in that hole a little earlier.
Bennett with an open track, looked like he was heading on into the end zone, but Laird saves the touchdown hit for the moment as the Dolphins are rolling right now. 1st and goal. Franklin. Hard yards, he gets 3 down close to the 3-yard line. Giesler, the left tackle, and Dwight Stevenson, the center from Alabama. Defensive coordinator Tom Bass of the San Diego Chargers.
Well, his philosophy is to let them throw, let them complete stuff short until they really either get tired of it or you can just make them cough the ball up and create a mistake. But Miami doesn't create many of those, and that's why I don't expect that philosophy to be as effective today as he'd like to have it.
Miami's a strong running team. They were 3rd in the American Conference running the ball. 2nd and goal. Woodley's a good runner. He throws. Touchdown, Dolphins. Nat Moore sprints into the end zone, and the first points are up, and Tom Bass on the San Diego defense, which is second to last in overall defense in the NFL, gives up the first touchdown of the game. And the Dolphins jump in front 6-0 with 8:08 to play in the first quarter, and they're up and cheering in Miami.
It's a big start for Woodley, who's come off 2 outstanding games. Starts off on the first drive of the day. Actually, that turnover created it, but 6 points early in the ball game's got to help him.
I saw Woodley on the field, John, before the game. I said, what's been the difference these last couple of weeks? He says, everything's just going right. I couldn't tell you why, but it's all working, and it surely did on that drive after the Gerald Small interception, which the Dolphins turn into points. Von Schaman hitting the extra point, and Miami jumps out to a 7-0 lead.
Okay, Woodley throws the ball perfectly. A little 4-step sprint out pass. Hits Cephalo on a nice little cutout.
Nat Moore actually heading in. And so the Dolphins take a 7-0 lead. Back at the Orange Bowl, Don Criqui with John Brody, and Bob Greasy's with us. A year ago in this game, Bob was up in the press box calling the plays, and you called a lot of right ones that day.
We had to call a lot of right plays last year, a lot of scoring, but I think John is very true, very correct when he says that Woodley and the Dolphins getting off to a good start is going to help them.
Very unlike a year ago. Chargers came out and hit like a machine gun. 24-0 in the first quarter. Now Miami kicks off, and James Brooks is back. He had some problems at Pittsburgh, not today. To the 20. And a big special teams play. Coming up was Paul Langford, a first-year defensive back from Penn State, number 44, a 10-yard return. Now the Chargers go on offense again, and Fouts had his problems the first time. Muncy and Cappelletti as runners, although Brooks will alternate with Cappelletti. Joyner and Chandler, the wideouts, they're only great. Kellen Winslow's even better at tight end. Offensive line takes good care of Fouts, or at least until that first drive today. Shields, Wilkerson, Masick, Big Ed White, and Russ Washington. Muncy loses the ball. Free football. Looks like Fouts might have gotten it.
He did. That was not a fumble either, Don. It was just a muffed handoff. Muncy never got the ball. Tried to get out wide before he had control of it. This is very untypical of them. Dan has to reach a little bit. Didn't get a good step when he came away from the center, and because of that, Muncy and his linemen were already into the pattern. A little ragged early.
Misconnection, so on the mishandled handoff, there's a loss on the play of about 5 yards at 2nd down and 15 as Chandler goes in motion. Muncy right up the middle. So big. It gets so elusive. Coaches were saying that summer camp this year, Chuck Muncy was the fastest man on the Charger team at 235 pounds. He outran Chandler. 4.5 on grass with a helmet and football shoes on. Bo Camper, Baumhauer, and Betters across the front. Brodzinski, Dewey, Ernest Roan, and Larry Gordon, 4 outstanding linebackers. Small and McNeil cover well at the corners, and the Blackwood brothers do the hit and up deep. 3rd and 12. Out stands in. There's a good throw downfield for a first down to Wes Chandler. Coming off the right flank. Chandler this year has averaged 129 yards a game receiving the ball, and projected over a 16-game season. Had there not been a strike, that would come to over 2,000 yards.
Don, here's Dan with plenty of protection. Now, his offensive line did an excellent job on this occasion. To throw the ball 16 yards down the field is 3rd and 12. He's got to get at least 3.5 seconds. He does. It allows Chandler to run his pattern. They come up with a first, and that was a help.
16 yards it was, and first down for San Diego. Brooks runs wide. Chargers get ahead to the 40-yard line on the carry. Miami coming up. Glenn Blackwood, the strong safety, number 47, was on the tackle, and so there's a gain on the play of about 4. It'll be 2nd down and 6.
And Eddie White, number 67, on your screen right there, led Brooks. He is an outstanding guard, not only in pass protection, but very few of those fellows will weigh 280, 285, and he may weigh a little more than that late in the season. Can pull and lead a back as fast as Brooks. He can do it.
Second down and 6 now. Pump fake out in the flat. There's a problem there. And a good play by Muncy, who gets away from one man, and finally Bob Brodzinski, Ohio State linebacker, formerly a number 1 choice of the Rams, was on the stop. Kellen Winslow is going out. He's really limping going off the field.
Yeah, you could tell he was hurt in the first series of plays. I don't think there was anything specific that happened in this game. I think he brought it with him, and you always figure you can get it up for the big game, but he's been having trouble getting off the line of scrimmage since the day started. You see A.J. Dewey's having no problem handling him. You see the reaction. It showed early, and I don't think he'll be of much use today.
3rd down and 2. James Brooks runs hard and doesn't get there. Dolphins string out the defense. Don McNeil came across along with Bob Brodzinski, so Miami will get the football back. The Chargers coming into this game had a most remarkable number on the average offensive play this season, considering every play they've run. They average 6.6 yards. They don't need 3rd down most of the time.
No, let's take a look at Winslow's anklet or foot, it appears. Someone said earlier he had a case of astrotoe, which means your toe joints get very sore, but you can generally play with that. I have a feeling that's his ankle or foot or something.
Well, it was a bad limp that he went off with.
That's right.
And now the punt by Maury Buford, who doesn't punt often. They say a good trivia question, who's the San Diego punter? Pitch less than once a game. Here is the return, and good coverage by San Diego. A 50-yard punt by Buford and a 7-yard return by Tommy Vigorito. So with 4:28 left to go in the first quarter, the rematch moves on with Miami in the lead 7-0. Cool and sunny in Miami, Florida. Unseasonable cold front. Game rolling in. About 60 degrees. Wind is going to be a factor. It's blowing, swirling. Right now the flags are down, but it starts up again. as the Dolphin offense does. 1st and 10 from their 12-yard line. Tony Nathan. Room to run, and he out-sprints the cornerback and the linebacker on the left side of the San Diego defense, and finally the middle backer Cliff Thrift came across and got him. But Tony Nathan has run out across the 22-yard line for a Miami 1st down.
It makes it a little tough, Don. We see Cliff Thrift, who is a middle linebacker, has got good speed, generally takes those deep drops in passing situations. When you do that, and you're starting 4 yards deep, it's kind of hard to take a good angle toward the ball carrier. You can see on this occasion, he got pushed backward, had to run laterally, didn't even touch the man until he'd already made a 1st down.
But a 1st down it is for Miami, so they get out of their own end from deep down, and they're at the 22, 1st and 10. David Woodley throws in the flat. Running with the ball is Tony Nathan, who comes across the 30-yard line and out to the 33. A year ago, David Woodley was the youngest quarterback ever to start an NFL playoff game. He's just 24, but he was only in there for 11 snaps. San Diego's offense put up so many points that quickly they went to their backup relief pitcher, Don Sprock, who had the greatest game of his career to rally Miami back. But it's unlikely that Woodley will be pulled today off the way he's played the last 2 games. He's really reached a peak. Bob Greasy, what do you think the reason for his marked improvement is after a pretty poor start this year?
I think it's just the fact that he's getting to see a little bit more of the National Football League. When John and I came in the league, it was all man-to-man coverage, bump and run, and one defense. Now he's got to face a lot of different defenses, and it's a lot tougher to break in today.
1st down and 10. Pitch back this time to Franklin, and again they get room into the left side of the San Diego defense. Dave Lewis.
Don, I don't know what's happened to Dwight Stevenson, but he's the center for the Miami Dolphins right now, and people that follow football closely say he's got to be playing the best center of anybody in the game. Andre Franklin makes 6 or 7 yards strictly because he's able to cut back, and Stevenson has cut off Cliff Thrift from even getting into the pursuit. When a center can do that to a middle linebacker, you take off your hat.
Gain of 8. Miami, that coming in with a game plan of controlling the ball to keep it away from Fouts, has been doing that. Here's the pass now, and out of the backfield, Tony Nathan's ahead for another Dolphin 1st down. The winner of this game will, of course, be at home next week to play the New York Jets for the AFC Championship.
You know, Don and Bob, it's interesting. I know you sit there and you watch in pictures. You see a team playing a defense of a certain nature, and San Diego has played that sagging type defense, giving you the short stuff. I get the feeling that the plan is we're going to just take it all day long. That way we can control the ball. We keep it away from Fouts, and they're going to have a tough time catching us if we get ahead. Do you agree?
Shula's offense has always been that way. Miami's offensive system fits in very well against the San Diego defense.
Right now, the San Diego defense sees Miami at midfield with another 1st and 10 as David Woodley's looking deep. That's a rip. Duriel Harris can't get to the ball, thrown out of bounds, so it'll be 2nd down and 10. Marked contrast from a year ago in that the Miami Dolphin defense hasn't been on the field that much. They turned the ball over. San Diego did. The interception by Gerald Small that was subsequently turned into the touchdown, and the extra point makes it 7-0 now Miami with 3:23 left to play in the 1st quarter. Dolphin offense has been on the field most of the time, and Woodley, who's thrown the ball 7 times, has hit 5 for 42 yards in the touchdown to Nat Moore.
All gimmies. I saw something I haven't seen before this year, Don.
Tony Nathan running the ball, and again the Miami offensive line just blasts San Diego's defense wide open.
And I think if there has been a criticism in San Diego, it's been how come you never play a 3-man defensive line? You can pass rush better, you can fool the offensive line better. Well, they were in one for the first time I've seen all year. A little draw play beat it because the linebackers were not in the proper holes. Tony Nathan gets around Woody Lowe, number 51, picks up a 1st down before anybody can do anything. Here, your linebackers have to jump in the holes when you're playing that 3-man line. They get right in the flow.
Not a good deal when your middle linebacker's 12 yards downfield with the center still pushing him. Out of the backfield comes Tony Nathan, and on a 1st down play from the 37-yard line of San Diego, Tony Nathan's down inside the 30. They'll spot the ball right at the 30.
Well, Nathan may catch 25 balls before this game's over, because unless San Diego changes its defense, they're just going to slide him out in the flat, look down the field, come off to the out man, and if they don't get in better pursuit than that, Nathan falls down and picks up 7 yards. If he held his footing, he'd have gained a first down again. There's nobody in position to stop the play, and they're going to have to change their defense.
This looks like the Dolphins Super Bowl teams powering the ball. Offensive line just blasting the defensive front. Here comes Franklin the other way. This time San Diego's there to ham it in. There's a loss of a yard on the play. It'll be 3rd down and 4. Woodrow Lowe, 51, was on the stop for the Chargers, as the game clock moving quickly is down to 1:35 to play in the first quarter. Miami leading 7-0.
Well, generally, Don, in this situation, they send in Vigorito, Joe Rose. One of the two of them is the primary receiver. I think if Vigorito is in a pass pattern at all, it will be to the flat. Generally, they've been throwing him up the field a bit. They're in that 3-man line again, so you know they're going to try and do something to Woodley.
Tony Nathan, running and catching, already has 60 yards offense in the first quarter. Woodley throws, and there's a strike inside the 25-yard line for a first down. A good throw by David Woodley, and again, Nathan's the man. 22 left, 22 right, and 22 up the middle has been a game plan for Miami that's been working well.
Well, until somebody stops him, and that was actually better coverage than there had been earlier. Thrift almost got in the play. That was an excellent throw. It's the first time that Woodley's had to make an exceptional throw. Thrift plays the ball. He knows it's coming, but you can't beat perfect execution.
Coach Greasy, your old team doesn't look bad.
They're doing just exactly what you would expect them to do against a sagging type of defense against the Chargers are playing, and that is taking the easy stuff.
At first down carry, and again they go to Tony Nathan. Fourth-year runner out of Alabama takes the ball down inside the 20-yard line of San Diego and down to the 19-yard line as the game clock going to wind out now in the first quarter. You've said Bob Don Shula loves to coach in the big games, and this sure is a big one.
Well, he's a very patient man, too. Now, Woodley is not calling the plays. If Strock were in there, he may get a little impatient and want to throw the ball downfield. Shula will keep with this game plan as long as he's ahead and as long as it's working.
Well, it was all Miami Dolphins through the first 15 minutes of play. We'll be back at the Orange Bowl after this. Being high above South Florida is the Goodyear Blimp Enterprise from Pompano Beach. The pilot is Captain Richard Daniels from Burbank, California. The Enterprise, the newest blimp. I hope that Captain Daniels didn't have to fly that over here from Burbank. It takes some doing. The Dolphins, as we're set now to open the second quarter, will have the ball 2nd down and 6 at the 19-yard line of San Diego. Miami is leading the game 7-0. First possession for the Chargers. Bounce was intercepted after a big rush. Gerald Small picked it off, and shortly thereafter, Woodley had thrown to Nat Moore for a touchdown from in close. 7-0 Miami. Draw. Franklin, room to go. He's down to the 10. First down Miami, another 10-yard gain.
Hey, it looks like a piece of cake. You say, hey, you can throw the ball against San Diego's defense. And now you say, wait, let's run a draw play. You figure they're going to get a pass rush. They haven't had much of one. Now watch number 57. Dwight Stevenson again on the middle linebacker, Cliff Thrift. He just made an absolutely picture-perfect block. He looks to the left as if he's going to help on the tackle, gets after the middle linebacker, and keeps him out of making the play.
We've seen very little of the number 1 offense and the number 1 defense. It's been the Miami offense on the field against the Charger defense, and right back to the run. And again, more yards up the middle as the power back from Nebraska. Andrew Franklin takes the ball down inside the 5-yard line. Don Coryell has to be concerned, although the Chargers, when they get down by 14 points, really don't get as worked up as some teams because they score 32 on the average.
Yep, and obviously, Don, when you take a look at the Miami offensive line, there are more people than one. But this is a man who's gone unsung and unnoticed for years. 57, Dwight Stevenson. Great penetration again, 5 yards deep. That's how an offensive ball carrier has no problem making yards.
Now, 2nd down for Miami, 2nd and goal. Franklin, touchdown, he got over the goal line, broke the plane, and with 13:32 to play in the first half, the Orange Bowl rocks and rolls as the Dolphins move on to a 13-0 lead.
It's just about as picture-perfect a drive as you'll see run. It's the sort of thing that Shula would love to have happen for the rest of the afternoon. Dan Fouts, they've only had the ball on 2 possessions. We're still into the second quarter. Miami has 2 touchdowns on the board. You can see the action is pretty tough to get into if you're a linebacker for San Diego right now because the offensive linemen are downfield.
Shula, before this game, he's always confident. Any coach with his record would have to be, but he was exuded confidence that his team was so ready. And so far, they have shocked San Diego, moving out to a 14-0 lead with 13:32 left to play in the first half. The Dolphins will kick off again when we return to the Orange Bowl. Back and ready at the Orange Bowl. Miami to kick it off again after the Dolphins have jumped out to a 14-0 lead with 13:32 to play in the second quarter. Driving down the field, mixing the run and the pass, overpowering the San Diego defense. Kickoff by Van Schaman, takes a tough hop, and look at the coverage by Miami. The Dolphins have the ball. The Dolphins have the football. This one might be 24-0 again, but not the same way as a year ago.
I'll tell you what, when you're 24 up and you're playing at home and you've got the defense that Miami has, these are the sort of mistakes that when a team makes, they're really hard to compensate for. Here's Hank Bauer, one of the top special team guys in the game, tries to pick it up and make yardage when all he had an opportunity to do was fall on it, and they're in the hole again, Don.
Who were here a year ago will never forget that incredible afternoon of football when the Chargers and the Dolphins spent everything they had physically and emotionally before San Diego won it in overtime. San Diego having jumped out in that game to a 24-0 lead, but it has been a marked difference this year as the Dolphins prepared and ready and making big plays, leading 14-0 now with another fumble recovery, have it 1st and 10 inside the Charger 25. And they go right back to the power game to the Dolphins and run the ball with Tony Nathan down to the 18-yard line.
If something doesn't happen, if Dwight Stevenson keeps playing the way he is, I don't think I'd run the ball anywhere else. He's just having they mentioned before the ball game, and Carl Tassif, who is an offensive coach for the Dolphins, and you know, Bob mentioned this kid has to be playing as well as I've ever seen a center play, and if the first quarter and a half is any indication, I haven't seen much like it either.
Woodley through the last 3 games has been hitting 75% of his passes. He's doing it again today. Right now he's going to run it right back at them. He gives to Franklin. There's a good play by Woodrow Lowe and Keith Ferguson. Uwe Van Schaman was shaken up, slow getting off the field after that kickoff coverage, which resulted in the fumble recovery.
This is a big series right here, Don. A very big play because remember, Uwe was shaken up. We don't know how well he would be able to kick a field goal at this time. It's a turnover. Miami's threatening to blow the ball game wide open, and yet if their defense can hang in there, Fouts has been 14 down every week.
Last week against the Steelers, the Chargers were down by 11 points twice and came back to win 31-28. 3rd and 3. Woodley has time, throws in the flat. Vigorito goes for the ball and takes it down just at the spot he had to go to get a first down for Miami. The Dolphins, a scalpel-sharp football team. Everything is going right.
Same old play out to the right flat. Woodley looks down the field, throws it out in the flat. That's just staying too far off him, Bruce. When it gets down that close, and Laird's been around with Baltimore for several years. He's a good defensive back, but if you're not accustomed to playing those backs tight, it's hard to decide to do it all at once.
Especially inside the 20, John. You know, usually with defenses, we'll go to man-man coverage inside the 20-yard line. San Diego has continued to play their zones inside the 20.
Woodley, who's running for almost 6 yards a carry, shows his stuff as he takes it down on a 1st and 10 play. Inside the 10, down inside the 5-yard line. Lewis ran him out of bounds. 3rd leading rusher on the Miami team was quarterback David Woodley. from LSU.
Boy, it's so much fun for a young quarterback, too, to have something that he can depend on, Bob, all the time. It seems like he's always got something in the hole because he's always got that short out. He can pick up 7 or 8 when he needs it. To have something like that is wonderful.
From a quarterback standpoint, you know you can go to something easy, pick up 5 or 6 yards. They're not attacking him. San Diego's defense is a passive type of defense. Unlike Pittsburgh's, for instance, that is an aggressive type of defense. You're lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Greasy and Brody, 2 quarterbacks who in their wisdom didn't run a whole lot. They could flang it, though. And here's a carry by Andrew Franklin down inside the 5-yard line and down close to the 3.
I've tried to do a lot. What's flagging?
Get back and fire it.
All right.
Ball down to the 3-yard line. 3rd down and a yard coming up. Franklin had a big year. Fumbled only twice during the regular season, but lost 3 fumbles in that opening playoff game against New England. Miami won that 28-13, but those who saw it said it wasn't nearly as close as the score. The Dolphins just dominated. They've done it again today. 3rd and a yard. Andrew Franklin, who the weight machines almost don't have enough stuff in the Miami weight room to test his legs are so strong, drives the ball down for a 1st down.
It's a 1st down, Don. You can see a good angle that shows you who's winning at the line of scrimmage. That time it was closer to a standoff, but most of the play is going on the other side of the line, even in short yardage. Picking up a yard and a half in that situation is plenty.
You notice now that Shula has Woody Bennett alongside of Andre Franklin, and he used to he calls that his elephant backfield. He initiated that back in the early 70s with Boulage and Zonka. He put the 2 big backs in there.
Now he's got 2 more.
The big backs are in.
Oh, they jumped off sides.
Well, the marker's down on the field. 10 minutes and 33 seconds left to play in the 1st half.
There was one play earlier, Don, where I thought it was Miami earlier, and they called it on San Diego. This time it was pretty evident. The right side of the line jumped before the snap. And don't think those interior linemen don't remember that for a year.
Jerry Markbright, the referee. False start, number 68, Eric Laxo.
I don't know about you, John, but when I was playing, I always tried to keep the cadence as simple as I could when I got down near the goal line.
Very important.
Never a quick count, but always something rhythmic where our offense knew exactly when the ball was going to be snapped. Nothing fancy in that area.
No doubt about it.
1st and goal now from 7. Woodley, quick pattern, touchdown Miami. Ronnie Lee, one of the big tight ends, is in the end zone on the payoff end for a 3rd Dolphin touchdown. It's a 20-0 game. These are the good old days again in the Orange Bowl.
Tell you what, Don, Bob, you get into problems when they're able to do the things they're able to do, and we just saw a smile out of Shula in the 1st half. I didn't think anybody'd see that. Ronnie Lee brings it down for the touchdown. Woodley's been letter perfect. The reason that San Diego's going to have to change, whether they want to or not, is they have to create something or their offense won't get the ball.
David Woodley has now hit 9 of 11 passes for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns. Ronnie Lee in the end zone. The extra point makes it 21-0 Miami. This game took on an added dimension yesterday when the New York Jets upset the Los Angeles Raiders. Means the winner of this game will be on the home field next week for the American Conference Championship game. And right now, the Miami Dolphins are rolling on the home field at the Orange Bowl, leading San Diego 21-0. The Chargers came in favor. One of the members of the press asked Shula about that, what he thought of it. He said, I don't think about that, but I'll tell you this, it'll make winning all the sweeter. Here's a kickoff to James Brooks. To the 15, 20. Penalty marker, free ball. Dolphins have the ball. Miami has the ball. There's a clip against San Diego. Steve Shule, a killer on special teams, is ripping apart the Chargers. Watch him. Third turnover.
Well, you make those sort of things happen because you're active. You can see all the way down the field he was after the ball carrier. He created the turnover. They have the ball in San Diego territory. You talk about your replays, Donnie. This baby's scary.
I tell you, this is some operation, this Miami Dolphin team. 21-0, and they have the ball back. Don Coryell, even with that great offense of his, has to start thinking about going to his bag of tricks. He's got to open it up here.
Well, we were talking about it, Bob, and he's got to do something to put some pressure on Woodley, because if he doesn't, it's just a field day and they'll never get it back.
I think what the San Diego defense is finding out is that the Miami offense is well geared for what they're doing defensively, and they got to mix it up a little bit. They got to change up. Steve Shule, the headhunter of the Dolphins, if you're going to key on anybody on your special teams, he's the guy, and he comes in and makes a big play for him.
Third-year linebacker from William & Mary. Steve Shule making big plays for the Dolphins. This game has been a litany of big plays for Miami. Can't recount them all. Now Nathan takes it straight ahead and comes right over inside the 35-yard line. And after the play, Gary Markbright fires in a penalty marker and signals a personal foul against the San Diego Chargers. James Brooks, the kick returner for the Chargers, shaken up badly. He had to be helped off the field after he returned it and fumbled it.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 30, defense, first down.
10-10 to play in the first half, and the deluge continues. Miami hitting San Diego every which way, forcing 3 turnovers.
And remember, Don, we said the same thing last year. When you get way ahead too early, sometimes it's not as big an edge as you'd like. Now, everything's gone Miami's way, and it doesn't appear that it's going to change.
Not right now. First and 10 Dolphins. Woodley's hit virtually everything he's thrown. And the offensive line has been hitting that defensive front of the Chargers, taking away their gusto as the clock comes inside. 10 minutes to play in the first half. This is the first sellout of the Orange Bowl since this game a year ago. 75,000 here, and of course over the years the Shula coached Dolphin teams before sellout crowds have won 90% of the time.
Yep, 36 yards for San Diego. It's kind of hard to make them when you've only had the ball for 5 minutes, but this is why Miami's always.
Second and 6. Blockers in front. Nathan weaves his way inside the 10-yard line. It's a first down for Miami.
You mention it and you mention it and you sometimes underscore it anyway. You see the offensive line blocking and how outstanding it has been all day long. When you get a quarterback and you get control of him, push him 6 yards down the field and let your back go to the first down line before he's touched. Everybody's moving up front.
The emotion and the fury that this Miami team has harbored ever since that bitter disappointment, the loss a year ago, is being unleashed today. The Dolphins coming out and just playing spectacular football on offense, on defense, on special teams, the whole package. Now Woodley looks into the end zone again, but he has a problem, and Woodley goes down at the 25-yard line. Keith Ferguson, a big defensive end from Ohio State. Number 76 was the first to get him. And so the first sack of the game for the Charger defense sets the Dolphins back.
And they did move a few people free to get after the quarterback. Leroy Jones did force him along with Keith Ferguson. That's the first sack for the San Diego defense in a long time.
Up to sack Woodley. San Diego takes good care of Fouts. Opposing quarterbacks have completed 68% of their passes versus the San Diego defense. A lot of them short because they're in that deep zone. Woodley's doing that. Here's a throw. Caught by Cephalo at the 10. Put a blindfold on Woodley. I think he hit the open man.
When it's going well, it's going well. We mentioned that most teams go into a man-to-man defense when they get down close to the goal line, but this is a long yardage situation, wide zone. You see four men underneath, and the roll zone man makes 5. Perfectly thrown ball. I don't think a lot of guys would have tried it, Bob.
John, they're playing a zone, but you know, somebody in a zone, the zone is a passive way of playing defense. Man-to-man is very active. Go and get them. But somebody in that defense within the zone has got to make a play when the ball gets in your area. When the guy gets in your area, you got to do something to him. Williams was right there then and just let him catch the football.
Only thing they're doing is watching him catch it. Woodley. Another problem. Gets it away. Man is open. Tony Nathan, and he's down to the 7-yard line. That'll bring up 4th down, and Von Schaumann comes out. Remember, he was pretty badly shaken up after a kickoff that resulted in a San Diego fumble. 8:24 and running in the second quarter. Fouts and that offensive team over on the sidelines probably just wondering when they're going to see the football.
They might have given Winslow enough time to get well. They haven't had it in the last half hour.
Right. 21-0 Miami. Don Strock holds. Be a 25-yard field goal. If he makes this, it'll bring the score to 24-0, just as it was last year. Only, you know, the score was reversed. So this year it is the Dolphins who open up a 24-0 first half advantage. 7:45 to play. And the Dolphins will be kicking off when we come back. They've been kicking off all day. A cool day in South Florida, but the Dolphins are on fire in the Orange Bowl. Don Criqui with John Brody and Bob Greasy. The rematch of a classic playoff game a year ago, and this year in the first half the score is exactly reversed. After the Chargers jumped out to a 24-0 lead last year and then went on to win in overtime 41-38, it is the Dolphins who've come out to take a 24-0 first half lead. 7:43 to play. Chargers have fumbled the last 2 kickoffs away. Brooks goes again. There is some popping going on as Brooks gets to the 32-yard line, and at last, Fouts said we're going to get the ball.
Don't worry, San Diego has not given up. They've been down several times. They're the one team in football, I think, Bob Greasy, that is still in the game with 37 minutes left to play.
I would feel confident. Not confident, maybe, but I think there's a sense of urgency when Fouts walks into the huddle. I think reflecting back on what happened last year, if the Dolphins can do it, certainly San Diego can do it. And I think Shula is reminding his players on the sideline that can happen to them, too.
Right ahead goes Muncie, running hard, and the big guy is out across the 41-yard line. A gain of almost 10 yards on the play, but it's tougher for San Diego to come back because a year ago the Dolphins came back from 24 points down against the last-rated defense in the NFL. The Chargers have to do it against the #1 defense.
Yeah, and there's always a lot of discussion about that area, but when you have to score points, Fouts is the man I want behind the controls with the group he's got to work with. And you'll see that he'll try and get something going right now. His offense has to stay on the field and get used to playing.
He gets time, throws it out. Tight end Eric Sievers dropped the ball. Kind of a knuckleball coming out there.
How many times have you seen that from
Not
these
too
two?
often.
No.
You know, sometimes when your defense is on the field so much, John, and your offense is not on there, when you do get out there, you feel a sense of urgency, a little pressure on yourself that every play has got to work. That play they would probably hit 98% of the time.
And I think that you're seeing an example of it.
They're feeling a little bit of a pressure, and they just need to get back in their groove, go down and score 7 points.
Bob's only 2 for 5, 19 yards and 1 interception. Muncie running hard on 3rd down and a yard. He's going to be close to the yard marker, but there was a penalty marker that came in.
Yeah, I don't.
Signals against the San Diego Chargers. Coryell's about ready to go back to the drawing board. Been a flaming disaster so far for San Diego with 3 first-half turnovers and now a penalty as once he got very close to the first down. Let's see what the call is, though.
Sure, and if it is, they'll take the penalty anyway because San Diego would go for the first down on 4th and a foot. And it was just a case of A.J. Dewey making a fine defensive play, and Kissinger, who was trying to stop him, had to reach out and hold him.
Looks like he got it by the nose of the ball, so the penalty will be assessed against San Diego.
How many times has Dan Fouts been 2 for 5 for 19 yards?
with 6 minutes left in the half.
Yeah.
Number 7.
Got number 75, Andrew Gissinger, big offensive tackle from Syracuse. San Diego, among the leaders in penalties. Miami is the lowest penalized team. They rarely get penalized. In the flat, good throw against the big rush, and look at Chuck Muncy get ahead on 3rd down and 11.
I wouldn't be surprised, Bob, if they tried it on 4th down. Personally, I don't think they will, but I wouldn't be surprised if they have some sort of trick play. They'll use it.
The key to that play is, John, they did not want to throw the ball to Muncy on a little outlet on a swing pass. He looked downfield. Everybody was covered. Tight man-to-man coverage. He got a little pressure, and he had to dump it off.
Well, how many times do you, Dan, have to look this many spots? He's always got somebody open. This time it was real good pressure. He had to move around in the pocket. By that time, his primary receiver was gone. And you see, throwing it to Muncy for a 4-yard gain wasn't his answer to the problem.
Maury Buford said he punted 7 or 8 times a game last year at Texas Tech. He said, now I make it in the pros. It's unbelievable. All I do is kick into the net on the sideline. But not today, as the Charger offense has been unable to move, and Buford punts the ball to Vigorito. Chargers covering well on teams and come down to make a knockdown inside the 15-yard line. A 49-yard punt by Buford. The Miami Dolphins, with the 24-0 lead, go back on offense when we return to Miami. Back in Miami, 6:22 to play in the first half. Dolphins leading 24-0. Beneficiaries of 3 Charger turnovers, which they subsequently turned into touchdowns. Dolphins playing brilliant football. San Diego rocked early, just as the Dolphins were a year ago. And now Miami goes on offense again, 1st and 10 with Woodley at quarterback. Penalty marker down. So is the runner Tony Nathan as he got to the 20-yard line. See across the way, John, about that the San Diego offense is having a meeting.
Well, I think it's about time. They're just trying to meet one another. They're not getting a chance to see a lot of each other in the huddle. But, Bob, I got a question. It's like you having been with Shula so long. When he gets ahead 24-0, is there a specific way that you could predict his outlook on the rest of this act?
Well, normally, I would say that he might pull things in a little bit close to the vest and be conservative. But I was with him on Thanksgiving Day in '77 against Don Coryell when he was coaching the Cardiac Cardinals in St. Louis. We were ahead 28-7 in the first quarter, and he was not resting easily. We went ahead and beat him 55-14, but that's the respect that he has for Don Coryell.
Penalty, illegal motion against the Dolphins, makes it 1st and 15. They go back to the run into Andrew Franklin, who gets to the 10-yard line. In the first half, the Dolphins have rushed for 122 yards, the Chargers for 17. It is the passing numbers that have keyed the San Diego success over the recent seasons, and certainly this one, and they have virtually no passing yardage. Faust just hasn't been in there long enough to have the ball to do anything with it.
And Don, you know, we've compared last year's score early to this year's score, and the funny thing was then, and I can remember asking you at a commercial, you know, I still don't get the feeling this game's over. Strzok comes in and starts humming it. This game is still in the hat. And so far, San Diego hasn't done anything to give you that feeling. That might happen, but it hasn't yet.
Here's a break, free football, and it looks like San Diego has the ball.
I don't know.
They're still fighting. The Dolphins got it back. Charger had his hands on it. Gary Johnson was the first man there, but Woodley got it away. So what would have been a tremendous break for the Chargers doesn't work out.
Well, generally, you know, when you hand the ball off and you don't make a clean handoff, you better follow it into the line. Woodley did so and was lucky enough to come up with it.
That's the one thing, though, the Dolphins can't afford to do, and the thing that the Chargers are really looking for. And if you remember in the game last year, that's the first thing that San Diego did to help the Miami offense was fumble the ball in good field position.
How about
Nathan on 3rd and 17, runs wide, and the Chargers knock it down across the 10-yard line at the 11. So this time Horace, the Dolphin punter, will be hitting the ball from his own end zone with 4:40 to play in the half and the clock running.
You know, it's funny. San Diego has also been up 24-0 before this season and forgot to win one against the Raiders, I believe.
That's right.
And early in the year, and so they've been in these contests. You can bet they'll take it down to the wire somehow.
James Brooks back deep to return the punt. Chargers will get good field position as Buford hits the ball end over end. Brooks comes up, lets it hop. There he goes. Coryell describes James Brooks, the runner, return man from Auburn, as very fast and tough as a boot. He's had his problems today. He'll be back after this. On the punt return, there was a personal foul called against the Miami Dolphins for a face mask call, and so the ball was advanced even further downfield inside the Dolphin 30-yard line down to the 28. Ronnie Lee, covering the punt, was called for the foul. And so with 4:07 to play in the first half, San Diego comes out. Dan Fouts, low numbers, but maybe not for long. He's ready to fire. Home run ball. There's Wes Chandler. Broken up in the end zone. Don McNeil, number 28.
That's good coverage, Donnie. You know, generally, I know Chandler would like to have run a corner on the play. We take a look at the zone defense, but it's not always the same guy running into the same area. You take a look at Don McNeil down in the corner of your screen with Wes Chandler. He runs an out, and it's going to be an up, but McNeil beats him on the play. He has to come inside. He's lucky to keep it from being an interception, and that's been the tone of the game. It's been the defensive secondary of Miami forcing Fouts to come off time and again.
Those great receivers, Kellen Winslow and Charlie Joyner, have yet to catch a pass. I think Chandler has one reception. Fouts throws. Muncie loses the handle coming out of the backfield. He might have done some with it had he held on.
That's right, he might have. But what happens is, and we've alluded to it, everybody's trying to do a little more than they have to get the show on the road. I mean, Chuck Muncie doesn't drop balls. Okay, he's a great pass catcher. Dropped that one.
Plus, Bob Baumar sacked him or put pressure on him right after he released the ball, and that is one thing they want to do, put pressure on him. They don't necessarily need to sack him, but pressure him where he can have to throw the ball a little bit before he wants to.
They're doing it. Doing that consistently. The Dolphin defensive line putting the heat on Fouts. 3rd and 10. Man's open. Charlie Joyner, and he's down inside and into the end zone. Touchdown, San Diego. So with the Chargers, as is the history, they make it happen fast. A 28-yard throw has got Coryell and the team all up again.
You know what's indicative is if you took a look at Dan Fouts on the play, he's down there checking out his receiver in the end zone. That's an indication that his act is not over. He is just waiting to get the ball. He feels he can have a go at him deep. He had a tough ball dropped on him. This one right to Joyner, hit him right between the numbers. Joyner runs it in the end zone. We said we hadn't seen any indication of the game to getting back in the hat. Now we have.
Charlie Joyner. Extra point, up and good. 35-year-old, no good. It's wide to the left. So Ralph Penerska misses the extra point. It's a 24-6 game with 3:46 left to play.
Certain people have been suspect over the years. This gentleman certainly isn't one of them.
Now, when he hits his 100th field goal, which he could today, he's got 98. He'll be the best percentage kicker in league history, 73%.
We saw the secondary for Miami, Don, take care of the offense for the Chargers. But now let's take a look at Joyner. He's the inside slot back. He's got it right through the zone. You see 3 players in deep zone coverage. Fouts hits right between the seam, runs it into the end zone. Well-run pattern by an old, wily veteran.
35 years old. Coryell says poor old Charlie's only got 4 or 5 more years to play.
And he's right.
Fouts says about him, he retires when we tell him he can. Still great. Bill Walsh, the coach of the 49ers, said that Joyner's the most perceptive, intelligent receiver that's ever played the game, in his opinion.
That's saying quite a bit.
Well, he had to be right there, Don, because it was his own, as John said, and he was just hung in the area, hung in the zone until Fouts found him, and then he read it very well and got in for the score.
A spinner to Fulton Walker. To the 20. Not done yet. And to the 23-yard line, and there the San Diego Charger defense comes out. Miami's David Woodley leads the offense out with 3:35 to play in the first half. Took the Chargers only 21 seconds to score the last time they had it. But it's still a 24-6 game, Miami. Somebody was asking Bass if they have any particular defensive theme. He said, yeah, try to keep them no higher than 21 because we're going to get more than that.
Yeah, but he's had a little trouble doing it.
That's right. The Woodley's statistics. Bob, he can snap off that fastball.
And he's been playing well, as you've alluded to earlier, Don, the last couple of weeks. Talking to him this week, he says he likes the plays that are being sent in. I think Don Shula is sending the plays in that he likes in. It's little option passes to the backs. Here again, you see
and he's taking right off a thrift, right? He reads him, he goes the opposite direction. He's got a back on both sides, and you did it for a career, so it must be a favorite play now.
It's the same offense. It hasn't changed any. It's the Don Shula scheme of offense. It fits very well into the Charger defensive scheme, and that's why they've got 24 points on the board.
Tony Nathan's certainly been in that scheme of offense. That was his 7th reception. Now he's running the ball again, and very well. 2nd and 3. Tony Nathan's across the 40 and out to the 43-yard line. It's another first down for Miami.
I haven't seen backs with the opportunity to cut back as effectively as the Dolphin backs have done today. A large reason, obviously, Dwight Stevenson. People say, hey, that's holding, that's pushing, that's something. But in offensive line play, that seems to be part of the deal.
As long as you keep your hands within the framework of the defensive man's body.
That's sure testing it, though, isn't it?
First and 10, Miami. Woodley's looking long. Fly pattern. Cephalo's open. He's got it down to the 4-yard line. Coach Shula wants to go down. Check that one out. Seems like a highlight reel for the Dolphins. 52 yards.
Don Shula is calling the plays, and I would say that he's hot. He has a good feel of what the Chargers are doing, and his feeling and his timing of calling the plays. The Chargers just scored. He came back on first down and started throwing the ball. He got a first down. He threw it long.
We'll be back right after this.
This is the sort of game that statisticians can have a ball with. But he's 14 out of 16 today for 156 yards, 16 out of 19 last week, 30 out of 35 his last 2 ball games. I mean, I'd say the man's putting on a performance.
One of the things that Woodley does the best is throw the ball downfield, deep. He's a very good downfield thrower. If he can't read defenses yet because they're so varied and he's so young in the league, one thing he does do well is throw the ball down the field. Some people ask me why Shula is so successful with people that can't play for other teams. It's because he uses their strengths to the best of their ability.
Looks like a typo, those statistical numbers. Bounce hasn't gotten much up yet today, and right now on a 1st and goal from inside the 5, the Bass coach defense of the Chargers able to knock it down. Woodrow Lowe shot the gap. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 6.
It's interesting, you know, here's a guy that's been taking a little bit of criticism. He's now down in a situation where his defense really has not stopped Miami at all. Bob, what do you do? I mean, I'm going to change something if it's just jumping off sides.
Earlier in the season, he was going from a 3-man line to a 4-man line, trying to confuse him that way. Obviously, the Dolphins are prepared for it. He's got to do something besides have a strong offense going for him.
Nat Moore goes to the right as a wingback. Woodley takes a look. Timing pattern going up for the ball is Hardy. Doesn't come down with it. He did earlier, though. 1:12 to go, first half.
Mike Williams makes a real good defensive play, Bob. It's pretty tough to watch a guy 6'5" on a flat pattern if he gets out clean, which he did. Williams is with him all the way. He gets his left hand on the ball and takes the play away.
David Woodley from Shreveport, Louisiana, and LSU. Shreveport, town that's turned out some great ones at quarterback. Woodlawn High School, Terry Bradshaw, Joe Ferguson. David Woodley rifles. Here's a throw, and the ball is dropped at the 5. And again, the field goal unit comes out for Miami. Uwe von Schamann was right through the middle on his first attempt, 25 yards out. He'll have another straightaway field goal from short range. 1:09 to play in the first half.
That's not where he wanted to throw the ball, obviously. He wanted to throw it downfield, but again, all the Chargers were dropping straight back. The zone that close made him dump it off to the outlet.
And when you've had so much success, you're a little reluctant to stop.
Von Schamann drills the field goal up and good, and the Dolphins extend their lead to 27-6 with 1:05 to play in the first half. Shula meeting with the special teams down below. They've played so well. This Miami team was so confident and so up. They've waited so long for a rematch. They just hoped they'd get one with San Diego. They were to play the Dolphins in the regular season, now the Chargers, but that game was washed because of the strike. And now the rematch comes just as it was a year ago in the playoffs. Only 2 AFC teams will be alive in the quest for the Lombardi Trophy after today's game. The New York Jets have advanced, as you know, to the AFC title game. They'll meet either the Chargers or the Dolphins next Sunday for the right to represent the American Conference in Super Bowl 17 in 2 weeks. Your football day starts with NFL 82 right here on the home of the Super Bowl, NBC Sports. Next Sunday, the Jets and Coach Walt Michaels surely to be congratulated for a great victory on the road. They'd never before beaten the Raiders in California. And the Jets are an awesome force right now.
Jets, well, when you play the Raiders when they're at home, wherever their home is,
Right.
You've got your hands full, and they took a lead, fell behind, and came back and won. They deserve all the credit in the world.
Matt Millen says of the Raiders, we're at home on the road. Kickoff to James Brooks. Boy, they are doing some sticking. That was a quarterback that hit him, Jim Jensen.
Well, that quarterback's hit a lot of people. He's the third quarterback, and he puts on the big pads, Bob. He puts on a lineman's helmet, and he does some work with it.
A couple weeks ago, final regular season game of the year, the Dolphins playing Baltimore got way ahead. Shula turned to Jensen, said, "Go on in." He had his big shoulder pads on, his big face mask on. He said, "Wait a minute, Coach, I got to change."
Chargers have only 3 first downs. Dolphins have 16. Here's Muncie. The big guy breaks it open, and Chuck Muncie is out ahead for a gain of 15 yards and a San Diego first down, but the clock very much a factor now. 53 seconds left to play in the first half.
And I'll tell you, Dan was a little hot. Jerry Markbright was paying attention to the ball being set down there at the 40-yard line rather than Dan, and Dan was trying to get his attention, lost about 3 seconds. They've called timeout, still got a couple left. If they score, they could still get within 14 at half.
Team announcement was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. With John Brody and Bob Greasy, this is Don Criqui back at the Orange Bowl in Miami. Super Bowl tournament week 2, and the Dolphins leading San Diego 27-6. 53 seconds to play in the first half. Fouts lets her go long. White Scales goes up, doesn't come down with the ball, but he's going to get on penalty yardage. There's a call against the Dolphins.
Okay. A lot of teams would walk in and say, hey, let's regroup. We're down 21. We can get back in the ball game. Fouts is trying to preserve every second he can. He's still got 46 seconds left. They're on the 40-yard line. Anybody that watched that little masterpiece he put forth last week when they're 11 points down with less than 8 minutes to play knows it doesn't take him long to get in.
No, it does not. And as you mentioned, John, just before we broke, a touchdown would make it within 2. Heading into halftime, they'll be down by 14. From the 40, first down. Fouts throws, and Kellen Winslow loses the ball. It might be intercepted and fumbled. Now it's ruled incomplete.
They gave it a no completion and a no interception.
And a no fumble.
That's right.
Well, I'm sure going to see it all over again. Our producer today is Larry Cirillo for NBC, and our director Harry Coyle, and penalty markers now come in.
And it's on Miami for getting a little vehement about the call.
Boys will do that. Got a little vehement out in Los Angeles yesterday.
Well, tempers do rise, as we mentioned. That it's not like they're playing for nothing out here. Take a look. We haven't seen Winslow on the receiving end of anything all day long. Mike Kozlowski covering very well. Then he runs into the linebacker who stuffs him as soon as he touches the ball. And the call was correct.
Well, 98% of the time when you look at it back there right.
Well, Greasy's shaking his head, but I'll tell you if he...
I don't know, John. He got his hands under it, but when he was scooping it together when he fell on top of it.
That's something you don't generally see a Miami team do. Then get called for...
So it's now down.
58, defense.
Ocamper is called.
Didn't like the call. Unsportsmanlike conduct.
Said the wrong thing. 39 seconds left, and the Chargers renew the drive at the 35 or the 25-yard line. Muncy. 34 seconds and a timeout is signaled by the Chargers. Baumauer knocked him down. Dan Fouts, when we talk about statistics, he said they can talk about statistics, but there's only one that I care about. That's the final score.
That's the ring.
Coach Shula getting an explanation. Next week, the PGA Tour gets into full swing with the Bob Hope Desert Classic. Among the top professionals expected are Jack Nicklaus, Craig Stadler, and last year's winner Ed Fiore, all vying for $375,000. $375,000 in prize money, plus some of your favorite personalities vying their skills in the Pro-Am tournament. Don't forget the Bob Hope Desert Classic from fabulous La Quinta Country Club next weekend. Tee to Green, it's the best in sports on NBC. Also next weekend, the American Football Conference Championship game, which would be here at the Orange Bowl if the Dolphins continue to roll. They're leading right now 27-6, but with 33 seconds left, the Chargers could take it in.
Don, there's one timeout left. If you're playing against Miami's defense, what do you call? You've done it in practice for the last 14 years. Where do you think the most suspect area would be?
Well, the thing I immediately would think about is Arnsparger. Bill Arnsparger, the defensive coordinator. He's done a good job so far today of mixing up how he's going to try and contain the offense of the Chargers. That is sometimes blitz, sometimes zone, sometimes double covered, different players. I think it's a guessing game on the sideline. You just have to call the play that you feel good about and then read the coverage and go to the right guy.
Here's the guy that does the calling on the sidelines, the assistant head coach.
Look at that.
Defensive coordinator Bill Arnsparger.
In this day and age, Don, when you start holding people to 114 yards a game passing, and they were the most passed on team in the league last year, you know something's improved.
Second and 8. 30 seconds left. Throw. Chandler. Out of bounds. Let's see.
That's a great catch.
At the 1-yard line, Chandler has the ball. It'll be first and goal with 26 seconds left.
All right. We said earlier we hadn't seen any indication that this game was going to get back in the hat. We're starting to see it now. Fouts hangs in there, gets good pass protection. Chandler will beat anybody on a one-on-one situation. Fulton Walker has very little chance, but that's just a great reception.
Double coverage inside on Winslow. Fouts reads it, goes to the man that has a single coverage. Big play.
So with 26 seconds to go in the first half, the Chargers are coming back. Muncy over the top and a penalty marker.
It did not look like it was Miami either. But it
Touchdown San Diego. And so, as they've done before, the Chargers rip right down the field, take it in with 22 seconds still to be played, and it's a 27-13 game.
You talk about reversals. All you have to do is look at the expression on the opposing coaches.
Or it will be 27-13 if Benerski can hit the extra point. He missed the first one.
And Dan Fouts is coming on back again. How many times does he get up off the floor? He loves to hand it to Chuck Muncy when the going is rough down there. Muncy getting a chance to handle it, runs in easily for the touchdown. Pretty good offensive line blocking, wasn't it, Bob? It sure was.
Benerska gets that one through. 22 seconds left to go, and it's now a 27-13 game. A little different halftime talk coming up.
Well, it's exactly. I can't believe the replay. It might be different jerseys they have on, but having had a chance to be back here last year, Don, and we've mentioned it a few times, it's just amazing the way old Mo shifts, and it has shifted, has it not, Bob Greasy?
It's really eerie that from last year to this year, the Chargers being ahead last year, the Dolphins this time. I'm sure what Shula's going to try and tell them is we got to get the momentum back. We got to go out and play like it's 0-0 because Dan Fouts can put a lot of points on the board, and we got to go out and score some points. Of course, on the other side, they're going to say we got to stop the Dolphin offense. Our defense has got to play well. I'm talking about the Chargers, and get the ball for our offense.
And right now we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
KCST TV, San Diego.
Ready to kick it. 22 seconds left. Fulton Walker has one booted over his head. Now he takes it at the 5. Weaves by one tackler and is knocked down at the 14-yard line with 17 seconds to play in the half. So the Chargers down 24-0. Then 24-6, then 27-6. Now trailing the game 27-13 as we're approaching halftime.
You just know when San Diego's in a ball game, something's going to happen that you didn't expect.
Well, on that last drive, John, that Fouts took him down and scored, it was very uncharacteristic of the Dolphin defense to have a couple penalties against them. One interference call and then another unsportsmanlike conduct call on the play they thought they had an interception.
That's exactly what happened.
Looking to take their winnings to the locker room. Straight ahead with 14 seconds left to play. Woodley carries the ball. Chargers going 76 yards and 43 seconds for that last touchdown. So it is very much a ball game now. Another big half coming up. 27-13. San Diego in the lead. We'll be switching to Len Berman and NFL 82 crew in New York. A look at what transpired in the first half, and plenty did, particularly at the outset, John.
Well, Don, to me, looking at the enthusiasm that the San Diego Chargers are going into the locker room with at halftime, kind of gives you a different feeling than you felt a few minutes before.
That's the end of the first half, and the score is Miami 27, San Diego 13. For the NAIA beneficiary of another grant from National Football League charities. What a class guy that Dr. Walker is. He coached the 76 Olympic track team at Montreal. Eric Sievers, an up back, takes the kickoff on the one hop and runs it across the 35-yard line out to the 40. Steve Potter made the stop. So the Chargers, who scored the last time they had the ball to make it a closer game, now open the third quarter with possession. As you see the first half numbers.
Well, you take a look at that 7:56 in time of possession to 22:04. It tells you that the coach of the home team has had things going the way he'd like, but he was also aided with 3 turnovers. Now, Fouts has a chance to get within 7 near midfield.
Swing pass goes out to Chuck Muncy. Look at him rip. All of a sudden, San Diego's looking like the Chargers we've come to know.
Well, all of a sudden, they're getting the ball, and they're able to do their thing, and you get Chuck Muncy, who's playing it at his highest level ever, with the ball, and you're in trouble.
The other thing it does, John, is when you do get the ball, it's important that you make first downs. You cannot have a bad play, a negative play, as long as you keep moving the ball forward. And this is a positive play, a little swing pass. You're probably going to get at least 5 and maybe 10 or 15 like you did, but it's important to keep moving.
They did that, 19 yards, right back to the run and right back to Chuck Muncy. But this time the Dolphins are there. Larry Gordon, number 50. A big, rangy, and as you saw, very fast outside linebacker from Arizona State came up to make the play.
And people might notice that the personality of the San Diego Chargers right now is a little different than it has been all year, because without Kellen Winslow in there at tight end, being able to run through those defensive secondaries to set up those crossing routes by Chandler and Joyner, he's going to have to run the ball a little more than he does usually.
Second down and 11. Fouts lets her rip. Too much on it for Charlie Joyner.
I think he threw that one away, don't you, Bob?
I sure do. They had tight coverage in the secondary, which allowed the pressure to get to him and forced him to throw it a little before he wanted to.
And he also had a a messy snap from center. I think whenever that happens, it throws everything off a bit. This is a big third down play right now. If they've got something they feel safe that they can get 10 yards with, it's coming. I think they're double covering the outside. He's going to have to throw it inside.
Fouts throws often, but he does so at great discretion. Less than 3% of his passes are intercepted. Third down. He takes a look. Loops one up. And the Chargers come up empty on that drive. Gerald Small covering. San Diego will punt the ball to Miami.
I think we had a perfect illustration, Bob, of when you give a quarterback very little time to throw, sometimes he does not pick out the open man. And Kellen Winslow was coming underneath wide open. And he hadn't been open all day, but he was then.
That's exactly right. He was working against Kozlowski. And that's what the mixture of the coverages that Bill Arnsberger is doing. Pressure him some, cover him some, doubles, mix it up. And Dan just read the wrong receiver on that one.
Now here is Buford in to punt for a unlikely third time. He kicks it, but it hops in. Touchback, and the ball comes out to the 20-yard line. And there the Dolphins will go on offense for the first time in the third quarter. 1st and 10 at their 20. Miami leading the game 27-13. 75,000 plus at the Orange Bowl, and we'll be back after this.
There's a man that's got a big task in front of him, and I know there's a lot of thoughts going through his mind as to what he has to do, but primary, he's got to get the ball.
The Dolphin defensive back said he is very mentally tough. They have a lot of respect for him. He'll be back with some more excitement in this game.
Long way to go. 13:43 to play in the third quarter. To the run. Andrew Franklin breaks into open field and thunders across the 30. First down Dolphins as he gets to the 31-yard line. Not just big and powerful, he's quick. He was a blocker at Nebraska for people like I.M. Hip, Rick Burns, and all those good backs, Jarvis Redwine. Miami got him in the second round, thought he could run, and they were right.
You got a little block from John Giesler there that allowed him to spin.
50 yards rushing in the game so far for Andrew Franklin, who is the lone setback now in a 1st and 10 play. Woodley takes a look downfield. He throws it right to the free safety of the Chargers. Tim Fox has the ball. He's down inside the Miami 40. So it turns quickly this time to San Diego, a team that lost the ball 3 times on turnovers in the first half, and the Dolphins converted all 3 into touchdowns.
Don, at the start of the second half, I think we mentioned 3 turnovers to none. Also, every play that Miami called was just letter perfect. Everything they wanted to go right did. This is the first bad mistake that they have made, but they did make a couple penalties toward the end of the first half. And it isn't the same group we saw starting out.
It's the same play they called. They've been hitting Nathan in the flat. Different coverage this time, different zone. Made him go to his second receiver.
1st and 10 San Diego. Boy. Glenn Blackwood separates Eric Sievers from the ball.
Sorry for the groan, Don, but when you see something like that, I mean, this Blackwood was coming after Sievers from the time the ball was snapped. He knew who the ball was going to. You can see him. He's on the dead run, and he is going to say hello.
That's exactly right. He knew who the ball was going to. Very intelligent, the Blackwood brothers. Not the greatest athletes in the world, but very intelligent. They know where the ball's going.
2nd and 10. Muncy crashes into the Miami defense, takes the ball inside the 35-yard line on a 2nd down and 10 play and got ahead for 4 yards.
All right, little 3rd and 6. Bob, normally you'd say, all right, this is a certain passing down, but they're in a space where they may go for it on 4th down if they get to within 4th and 1, 4th and 2. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him move the ball with either a little flat pass or an end run to Muncy.
3rd and 6, San Diego. Hank, free ball. Nope, it's ruled he was caught, and that was it. The play was dead. It's a sack back at the 43-yard line.
Great penetration by A.J. Dewey and Doug Betters. Dewey's played an outstanding game, Don, and because their offense has had it all their way, we haven't noticed as much as 77 as he has played well.
moving him around, Don. They put him inside, they put him outside, they put him away from the tight end. Just try to create some confusion among the offensive blockers for the Chargers, and that time he got pressure in the pocket, and there was nowhere to go with the ball.
It's a hard group to confuse, that offensive line, but I think they're doing it on occasion.
Enough so that with the second sack of the game against San Diego, Miami credited with its second pass rush sack. Maury Buford's out to punt for 4th time. It's a high arcing shot that Kozlowski fair catches at the 18-yard line. So the Dolphins aren't burned after Woodley turns it over for the first time in the game, throwing the interception to Tim Fox. Miami has the ball when we come back. Back at the Orange Bowl in Miami, the Dolphins finally made a mistake on offense. David Woodley was intercepted, but the Chargers unable to capitalize.
That's the first mistake that David Woodley's made in a couple of weeks. They changed up their coverage a little bit, showed him something different. He was hitting that thing, the pass out in the flat to Nathan for the first down a lot on first down, and they changed up a little bit on him and gave him something different. And the Chargers are going to have to do that.
Now they go to the run, and Andrew Franklin is the man as Woodrow Lowe gets him, but he gets him 6 yards downfield. Franklin rips off another good gainer out to the 26-yard line.
And we should remember, too, it's such a tough job. You know that in that 4-3 defense, the middle linebacker has a lot of responsibility. Number 59, Cliff Thrift, has got to get in the hole before he gets anybody in his face. If he doesn't get in the hole, no one does but the running back. We've seen it time and again throughout the afternoon. He's picked up 8 and 9 yards inside.
And the man he usually keys, John, is the center of the 2 guards. If they pull, he goes.
On second down and about 3, the run up the middle by Franklin is stopped by Gary Johnson and Keith Ferguson. Defensive front for the Chargers, Leroy Jones, as big as his number, 68. He's 6'8", 260. Louis Kelcher had a fat attack during the strike, was up to about 350, but he's trimmed down now.
About 3 1/4. Tell you, like Gary Johnson, you know, we haven't seen a lot of him, and they haven't tried his area very often. Sometimes you don't hear a man's number much because they haven't tried him. Number 79 is a Pro Bowl player. We haven't really seen them run at him. That time we saw it, and it didn't go very far.
3rd down and just over a yard. No. We'll have to see. It didn't look like he's there.
It all depends on the spot, and the spot is going to be short.
So leading 27-13, the Dolphins will send out their punting group, and here comes Orison, the Dolphin kicking team. They're still going to take a look with the chains. Jerry Markbright calling for them.
If that's a first down, then the stripes are wrong. I've seen that happen before, too.
Didn't get there. So it is a turnabout that Coach Shula is feeling, and so is Coach Coryell, who saw his team down 24-0 as the converse of last year's game was enacted here when San Diego went out in front 24-0 in the first quarter and eventually won 41-38 in overtime. Both these teams were so keyed on this game around the practices. They were confident, but they'd been waiting and waiting for this. The people of Miami have been waiting for a year, thought they were going to get the game in the regular season. And that was washed by the strike, so ultimately they get it just in the setting they wanted, the playoffs.
You can believe the team that wins this game gets the home field advantage for the championship game, and that leads into something very big. So look at this.
Orris is going to run, and he's got a long way to go. And he gets there with ease. And Miami coaches are jumping up in the air as Tom Orris, who doesn't run often, makes it effective and gets the first down for Miami. Good pass.
That expression pretty well sums it up. If you're going to, if you're going to be a little sloppy and expect to get things happening your way when another team is looking at you, you come up with a problem. This is taking advantage of a situation that presented itself.
Tom Orris is a new punter for the Dolphins. This tells you that he has arrived when Shula will give him the opportunity and the choice to run the ball. He keys the lineman, the defensive lineman. When they take off, he can run it, but he better make it.
I know they're not given the responsibility of taking off till he does kick it.
Now Woodley with a perfect timing pattern down to the 45-yard line of San Diego. Uriel Harris going downfield and coming back at the ball. 15-yard gain and a first down for the Dolphins.
It's another first down pass, John, and this is why Woodley is feeling more comfortable in the offense. He is not only throwing the ball on third down when against nickel coverages, but on first down when it's relatively simple to throw the football.
That goes back to Don having enough confidence in him to call his play on first down, and I think that's what you were relating to.
Jimmy Cepolo, who caught that 51-yard gainer to set up a touchdowns on the right flank. Matt Moore on the left flank. He's blocking for Andrew Franklin, who on first down knocks the corner for San Diego. Mike Williams about 3 yards back. Gain of 6 for Andrew Franklin. That's been his number all day.
Well, there's a man. They use him in special situations now, and Greasy was mentioning it to me yesterday. Because he is such an outstanding blocker, he'll go in and handle those linebackers, those strong safeties, anybody to give his fullback a chance to cut up, pick up some extra yards. That was a perfect indication.
He ran into Timmy Fox, and they've run into each other a few times over the years. There's some hitting going on now down there now.
We have that. 8:56 to play, third quarter. Second down coming up for the Dolphins, just inside the 40. Nathan, option pass, throws a strike. Bruce Hardy, the tight end, open in the seam, and Nathan, who's done everything today, run the ball, caught the ball, and now he throws the ball with success. And the Dolphins drive on, all keyed by the fake punt and the run by Tom Morris for a first down.
Kind of a cute little play. He's got a nice little motion. Looks like a submarine pitch. He comes out, gets a hand up in his face by David Lewis, and he throws it underneath him.
I think the key is they're hitting on all 8 cylinders. Shula pulls this play out after they've made about 3 or 4 first downs in a drive, calls it on first down when the other team was looking for something else. The timing of his calls are what are making this drive right now.
Good for a 20-yard gain. Tony Nathan now runs the ball, and Nathan takes it down to the 15-yard line of San Diego. The Shula Dolphins had been in a drought since that early 24-0 lead. So they gambled on fourth down, and Orris delivered with the run from the punt formation, and now subsequent big plays take them down to the 15-yard line with second down and a long 5 coming up. to 13. Miami leads the game. Andrew Franklin again and again, and every time it's yards.
He's a load, isn't he?
You know, the strength of the defense for the San Diego Chargers is their 2 defensive tackles, Big Kelcher and Big Hands Johnson. I'm very surprised at the success that the Dolphins are having running right up the middle. I thought maybe they could run right and left around in and tire them out some, but they're running right at those guys and getting good yardage.
Well, a lot of it's Jeff Taves, Bob Kuchenberg, and Dwight Stevenson. There aren't usually a whole bunch of secrets.
Bob, here's where you used to like to go to Nat Moore on that slant in. He's coming off the left flank. They go to the run. Nathan loses the ball. San Diego has the ball. Woodrow Lowe comes up with the football, and the Chargers stop the Dolphin threat with 6:41 to play in the third quarter.
And this ball is starting to bounce like it's shaped. You see a play, they've been running this play effectively since the whistle blew to start the ball game. Nathan gets outside, puts it in one hand, and kind of carries it like a lunch bucket. Woodrow Lowe tips it. It goes backward. They get another turnover and another chance.
And as you see, the turnovers starting to equal out now. Chargers committed the first 3 of the game, which Miami turned into points each time. Now Miami's turned it over twice here in the third quarter. Woodley was intercepted, but San Diego didn't score. Now the fumble recovery. On first down, Dan Fouts. Does he call that play?
No. He got a mix-up with his fullback. Couldn't you tell he didn't call the trick?
I wouldn't think so.
When he couldn't hand it off, he wanted to give it back to the official. Let's start over. And rightly so.
Can you see his eyes from up here?
Well, Muncie and he had a miscommunication now. For whatever reason, it's second down and 8.
Actually, he was a good runner at one time, wasn't he?
Before he had a knee operation at Oregon, he ran the ball very well.
This crowd really infuses the Dolphins, an electric group. Here's a throw to Charlie Joyner, and the ball is batted down beautifully. Coming off the right corner and covering was Don McNeil, number 28. Third-year cornerback from Alabama.
I've just seen so many times Fouts complete this ball into this type of defense. You got to have the feeling that Don McNeil is a top cornerback playing in a defense that's well coordinated. He isn't going to just let you catch the ball in front of him.
Had to be perfect timing on the part of the defensive back to break it up without interfering.
Fouts now 6 for 16, throwing the ball for 92 yards. You see 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Caught. Kellen Winslow's first catch of the day, a big one on 3rd down and 8. He's across the 35 and out to the 38-yard line.
Kozlowski thought he had that one all the way. We've seen Kellen Winslow as a decoy. We have not seen him as a primary receiver. And this time Fouts just tries to fire the ball in the hole. Number 40 laying on the ground thought he was going to get that one.
Special K led the AFC with 54 receptions. Here comes Muncie on 1st down. Blackwood takes on the big guy and stops him cold with 5:16 to play in the 3rd quarter.
Hey, he is in the right spot about as much as any free safety I've ever seen. Now, that ball was a reverse play. It was a counter-type move. He saw it as soon as Muncie made his step, and he caught him just past the line of scrimmage. There aren't many safety men that diagnose that well, Bob.
He watches a lot of film during the week. He calls all the signals on the field, calls all the audibles. He knows what's going on. He's the traffic cop. He directs them out there, and he's a smart, heady player.
Glenn Blackwood, he's been described as the blasting cap of the Dolphins secondary. 2nd and 8, San Diego. Eric Severs takes the ball, goes out of bounds. It's going to bring up 3rd down. A little over 2. Gerald Small covering on the play as the clock is stopped with 5:08 to play in the 3rd quarter. Dan Fouts, the key man, is the open man. When he's there, he'll find him.
Yeah, but I tell you, he's having to look at 3 or 4 fellas before he finds one. That throw he made to Winslow, he'd not like to throw too many of those.
Don Coryell was saying yesterday that what concerns about the Miami defense is not only that it is so good, but it's so deceptive. They disguise the coverages, and you have to make adjustments on the run. You don't see till the play starts what they're going to be in. Winslow started to run before he had the ball. You'll see him do that once every 4 or 5 weeks.
Well, they're going to send in their punting team.
Wide open, and he had 1st down yardage.
I got to think that injury's bothering him some. It takes away from the tension from what you'd like to be doing. He's in a one-on-one situation with Kozlowski. Someone would say, how does he get that open? He tried to move before he caught the ball. That's something that you don't see Winslow do, Don, and I've seen it happen twice to him today.
But you were right about him having time to heal. He's running like a greyhound out there again. He limped off in the 1st quarter. Up back. Oh, they're going to do the same thing. And they're going to get there. John Capoletti, the up back, the former Heisman Trophy winner from Penn State, had to working very hard for all 3 yards, and then the tackler hitting him from behind gave him the final impetus. And so the Chargers go to the fake punt, and they capitalize as Miami did their last possession.
Well, there's a big difference between this call and the one that number 3 made from Miami. His was gimme land. He was going to punt and take what they gave him. This was a call all the way, and he made it on his own because it wasn't there.
So the Chargers keep their drive alive, and they go to the run. Taking it up the middle was James Brooks, who's not carried often from scrimmage in this game. He was shaken up early, returning a kickoff that he fumbled, and the Dolphins quickly took it in. Bob Baumhauer, the middle guard, has been jamming things up in the middle, and again headed for the Pro Bowl, made the stop for the Dolphins. 3:58 to play, 3rd quarter. Same score as we had at halftime. Dolphins 27, Chargers 13. 2nd and a long 7. Swing pass to James Brooks. And He is down to the 36-yard line of Miami. A gain on the play of 12 yards and a first down.
And that's why they hate to blitz with those outside linebackers, Bob, because the fellas in the middle can't get out on those halfbacks that are hot. Fouts read this play real fast. You can see they're putting 5 men trying to get to him. He hands it off to Brooks. It's all the safety men's job, and it's pretty tough to handle.
First down and 10, San Diego.
Oh,
All right, back the other way now. Picked off by Glenn Blackwood. You're right about that, Bob Grease. He is smart. He just laid back there and waited. As soon as the ball was in the air, he took off and went right to the spot.
and there had to be something miscommunicated between Joyner and Fouts on that play. I think Fouts thought that Joyner was going to come underneath Blackwood because the ball was thrown from snap. What do you think, Bobby?
Well, you talk about the difference in the Miami secondary and the defense from this year and last year. Last year, Blackwood would not have made that chance. That was a chance that he took on his own. If he missed it, it's 6 points the other way. But they're more aggressive this year, and they're making big plays.
No doubt in my mind that Joyner would like to have another run at that route.
But he'll get another one, but it won't be for a while. Miami has a bright, sunshiny day in South Florida. The temperature an unseasonable 60 degrees.
I'll settle for that.
Yeah, it's not
It
bad.
feels like it.
Down here they think it's cold. San Diego is delighted with the day turned out. Just like a January day in San Diego. Dolphins like it when it's hot and humid. Free ball, and it's picked up by the, they're going to rule that Nathan was down at the 47-yard line. He lost the ball. But he's ruled down. There was a good gain on the play of 8 yards. Advancing the ball out to the 46-yard line of Miami. Dan Fouts waiting to get back in there. Third-round draft choice in 1973. That year, a lot of quarterbacks were drafted ahead of him.
I wonder how far we have to go back before we can see 3/4 of play with those kind of stats for Fouts. It's at least 4 or 5 years.
Second down and 2 now for Miami. Tony Nathan gets ahead across midfield for a first down for the Dolphins as the clock winds down to 2:08 to play.
We've mentioned it before. The O's and the white are getting the best of the line of scrimmage today, and that has the big factor in a 14-point lead. Their defense is doing the job, but their offensive line is also dominating the line of scrimmage.
Nathan having a great day. Caught 8 passes. Threw once on an option and hit that to his tight end Bruce Hardy for a 20-yard gain. First down and 10 Miami. Again, they go to the run. This time it's Andrew Franklin. Coming up to make the stick is the strong safety Bruce Laird, who knows the Dolphins well from his many years as a Baltimore Colts safety.
Oh, and nobody likes to be in a position where you have to commit yourself. Dynamite. That's a big hole to cover, and he's all alone back there with one of those big offensive backs. You don't make a living do it. That's what you call sucking it up and doing your job under duress.
Don Shula said the disappointment of last year's loss to the Chargers really proved the mettle of his team. It gave them incentive. A lot of teams might have slid back after that disappointment. But the Dolphins came out to have a great year, and right now they lead this game 27-13. Woodley with a strong arm throw. Uriel Harris and Tommy Vigorito coming out of the backfield goes up and down with the ball.
Bob? Let's take a look at the philosophy of the San Diego Chargers. They allow backs to run down the field, run fan patterns. We don't see a lot of fans, but we watch him line up. The snap of the ball, we ought to see him running back. He gives a lot of ground. When he does that, he's vulnerable to the outside. He was then, and they took advantage of it.
Tommy Vigorito has worked as a wide receiver some.
That's right.
They got a mismatch, put him out on a strong safety. Bruce Laird threw a little down and out on him.
So with 48 seconds to play in the third quarter, the Dolphins start to challenge again. Here's a penalty marker down as Tony Nathan runs the ball inside the 20-yard line. Down to the 19. Penalty stopping the clock with 41 seconds to play. And There you see the signal. A hold against the Dolphins and set them back 10 yards.
Been a lot of movement on the field, but no points put on the board in the third quarter, Don. Mistakes have caused no score.
Holding number 86. Offense. First down.
You see the Dolphins, least penalized team in the National Football League this season, having some problems with the penalties today. That was their 6th.
They are not penalized very often.
Kellen Winslow has only 1 reception today for San Diego. Charlie Joyner has only 1. It was a touchdown pass. Wes Chandler has only 2. People by this point are usually in the 20s as a group. Pump fake and a throw in the flat by Woodley. Bruce Hardy starts down the sideline, knocks off tacklers, and goes inside the 25-yard line.
And it looks like he's going to get the benefit of a roughness call. Just a great play on Hardy's part, and it was such a good play. Got roughed up a little, and the first down's coming because of it. I can't believe Woodley's pump on this play, Bob. You see the secondary? We mentioned what deep coverage they have. There's three defensive backs out down on the 10-yard line. The line of scrimmage was the 36. That's 25 yards deep. 5 guys underneath, but when Hardy gets the ball, he creates a situation.
What he was trying to do, John, as you know, is move Fox. He pumped to the right, trying to move Fox, and look back to Duriel Harris on the left side.
I think he fooled himself. I think he just pulled it back just before he let it go. Now, maybe that was an intended pump, but it was the best one I've ever seen.
And the mark-off against San Diego brings the ball all the way inside the 15-yard line of the Chargers and down to the 14.
Personal foul. Late hit out of bounds. Number 57. Defense. First down.
Lyndon King, linebacker, 57, called for the personal foul. David Woodley's numbers now show 22 throws. He's completed 17, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the 1 interception. 32 seconds to play in the third quarter. Nant Moore comes wide left. Cephalo goes on the right flank. Tony Nathan with a change of pace move, stutter step, and he accelerates down to about the 11-yard line. On a first down carry, he got ahead for 3.
They are still not jamming those wide receivers, and I believe the tight end can get out. I expect to see him throw it out in the flat again.
That will do it for the third quarter as we head to the final 15 minutes of play. We thought we only had 15 left after 3 quarters last year. Went to almost a full quarter of overtime. At the end of the third quarter, the score is the Dolphins 27, the Chargers 13. Back after these messages from your local station.
5.